Good morning, everyone. I see we have some folks filing into the webinar now, so welcome. We will be starting promptly at 11 o'clock. So if you've joined us a couple minutes early, get comfortable. You'll be with us for about the next 45 minutes or so. And we look forward to sharing the content on time and absence management in Workday. So thank you for joining us today. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. You guys have stepped in early, so thank you for that. We have a lot of folks that are joining the webinar. We'll be starting shortly in about 3 minutes. We have a lot of great content that Christine's going to be sharing with us, so we will start promptly at 11 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabe Bugenhagen. I'll be facilitating today's functional overview on time and absence management in Workday. We have about 2 minutes left before the top of the hour, and we will start promptly. So look forward to sharing this great content. All right, by my clock, I have about a minute left. So again, thank everyone for joining us today. I'm coming to you live from the Mannequin Building in College Park. So once my little clock says 11 o'clock, we'll go ahead and get started. I think we probably have about 30, 45 seconds before we get started. So look forward to sharing this great information with you all today. All right, my clock just turned over to top of the hour. Welcome, you are in the functional overview for Welcome to Time and Absence Management in Workday. My name is Gabe Bugenhagen. And before we get started with the content, I have a few housekeeping items here that I would like to go through with you. First, we have enabled the live transcript. You can turn on the captions or the transcript as you see fit. Second point is we are recording today's session, and we will make the recording available on the Elevate website once it's been remediated for accessibility. As an attendee today, you will get an email notifying you when that recording is available on the website. And if you have a friend that registered but wasn't able to attend today, all registrants also get an email notifying them when the video is posted. And last but not least, I want to let everyone know that we have enabled the Q&A feature of this webinar, and we have a panel of Elevate team members that are working in the background to triage your questions and get you answers as quickly as we can. So we have a great audience today, and let's get started. Thank you. So again, you're in the functional overview. Hope you are in the right spot. We're glad to have everyone. We have a record number of attendees at today's session, so we're really excited. So what are functional overviews? This is the 11th functional overview that we have done. We did our first one in February of 22. Some of you on this call, this might be your first. Some of you, this might be your 11th, or maybe you're somewhere in between. So I would like to take a few minutes and just give a high-level overview of what you can expect or what the intent of functional overviews are. We do them monthly. Usually it's the third Thursday or the last Thursday of the month, and we want to give you a sneak peek into Workday. These sessions are open to anyone across our 4 partner entities. This is our last session for January. We won't have one in February. There will be another functional overview the end of March, focused on training and registration and so on. We try to keep these sessions to 45 minutes so you guys can, finish up and make it to your top of the hour next meetings, or if you have to go to class or whatever. These are optional. We love to have you guys, but there's no mandatory that you attend these. They are intended to raise your awareness, get you familiar, so that when Workday goes live, you have some sense of what the offerings are, some of the benefits. And last point here, again, it's a preview of the system. The formal training will be starting in spring 2023 in April, to be specific. And the last point, Karen, if you could just go back real quick. One other point I wanted to make about functional overviews. It's not a bullet point, but it is an opportunity for you to ask questions. As I mentioned earlier, we have panelists working in the background to take your questions and get you the appropriate answers. So please don't wait until the end. We encourage you to submit your questions throughout the presentation. So who do we have helping us today? As I mentioned, my name is Gabe Bugenhagen. I'm the change management lead on the Elevate program. I've been on the College Park campus now for over 16 years. I came from an academic unit. And so I was excited to join the program in the winter of 21. I'm also joined today by Karen Dieso. She's our communications lead. So if you subscribe to our newsletter or you see some email content, Karen is the author or the contributor for that. She's also today helping me with my slide deck, and she will be facilitating the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. And last but not least, I'm super excited to have Christine here joining us as the Elevate Absence Management Lead. Christine joined the university in about 2015, and when she joined, we didn't really have at College Park a leave group. And so she kind of became one of the inaugural members of that group and spearheaded a lot of the efforts. I know for myself personally, she was instrumental in helping me when I needed this assistance, but more importantly, when I had questions about my staff, she was knowledgeable, responsive. And so I'm thrilled that she's not only on the Elevate team, but she's going to share her experience and knowledge with you guys today. So real brief agenda. We've kind of taken this topic and we've split it into 2 main categories. The first one here is absence management. It's probably a term, it sounds maybe like, what's absence management? I've never heard that before. So Christine will walk us through some examples of what it is, some of the highlights, benefits. She'll go through what an absence calendar looks like, and then she will give us a live demonstration. She will also explain, for those of you on the call that are managers or supervisors, she will show you some of the dashboards or some of the options that you have available to you. The second part of the presentation will be focused on time tracking. We have an exciting decision that came out about exception time reporting, which Christine will touch on, and then she'll dive deeper into what is time tracking, show you what some timesheets look like. She will also do a live demo of how you enter time. And again, she'll kind of give a little focus on what this means for managers or supervisors. We'll wrap up the functional overview like we've done in the past, give you some more information on how can you learn more and what some next steps are. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Christine. Thanks, Christine.
Thanks, Gay. And again, everyone, thank you for joining. I'm looking forward to going over this overview with you guys. So as Gay mentioned, my name is Christine. I'm really excited to be here to share with you some of the really cool features related to absence management and time tracking in Workday. So we're going to start with absence management. And we can go to the next slide. So what is absence management? Absence management is your ability to view leave and your entitlement balances, forecast your accruals for your leave, request time away from work. Right now, at the university, we refer to time off as leave. We have that general term leave. But when we move to Workday, we're going to begin using the term absence instead of leave. And within Workday, there are two different types of absences. The first is time off. So time off really is your short-term time away from work. You're off work for a specific number of days or hours, and typically your responsibilities, are paused until you return. Now, leave of absence, on the other hand, is a more extended period of time that you're off work. Normally, under those circumstances, somebody else is taking over your responsibilities while you're away. And the nice thing, one of the nice things in Workday is if you're off work for an extended period of time, you can delegate tasks that are assigned to you to someone else, so we can ensure that the work continues. The next slide. So here in this chart, here are some examples of some of the leave types we have today and which absence category they're falling into in Workday. So you'll see leaves such as annual, sick, personal, holiday time off. Those are considered time offs. Generally, your annual time might be vacation, or maybe you're taking some sick time for a doctor's appointment. So those are examples of what we define as time off. Leaves of absence are those extended periods of absence you're out on a continuous basis. So parental leave, continuous family medical leave, and sabbatical leave. So those are examples of what we define as a leave of absence. So we're going to talk about what's the same as we transition into Workday and what's new. Well, so our current leave policies are going to remain the same, but the process of how we're requesting and approving absences, that's going to change. So what's new, instead of recording absences on a timesheet each pay period, you're going to use something called the absence calendar to submit requests, and those requests will route to the appropriate person for approval. So no more time entering leave on timesheets. The absence calendar, we'll look at that in a minute, is a great tool where it provides you the ability to look at a consolidated view of absences that you've submitted. So you no longer need to refer to a timesheet every pay period to be able to see, oh, I recorded time off or I was approved for leave over a particular period of time. So that's a really nice feature. One key takeaway here is that all workers, so we're talking about staff, regular staff and faculty, contingent workers, student workers, are expected to submit all of their absence requests through Workday. Right now, there may be a number of ways that you are communicating to your manager as it relates to your request for time off. And they may just, and the approval may be verbal or just through an email. Now we're going to use Workday. That's the formal process. And it's going to give us a lot of powerful information. We're using one tool. It's going to help the university make some broad and informed decisions. And it's important that the data that we're looking at is accurate. Okay, next slide. So here is a snapshot of what the absence calendar looks like that I referred to earlier. You'll see here that the absence calendar, it displays absence requests. It's in a monthly format. And you're able to review other months simply by using the arrows on the top of the page there. So if we go to the next slide, we're going to show you, kind of highlight what requests are going to look like on that calendar. So you'll see on the right-hand side, the calendar displays the status of your absence request. Absence requests that you've submitted, but they're still pending review, are gray. You'll see the sick time up here on the top. Those are absences that you've submitted. And then the green absences are approved. So that's a nice feature, so you can look at the status of your requests. And then the other great thing is that on the absence calendar, you're going to be able to view your bank balances in the same place that you're submitting requests. So you don't have to go back and forth to confirm your leave bank balances. So the number of hours that are available for use are displayed for all time off and leave plans for which you're eligible. So there's more plans here as you scroll down, but you'll see your annual time off plan. They got 344 hours that they are available as of this balance date, which is January 9th. You'll see that we can actually change the balance as of date, and it will adjust the plan balances accordingly. So you can go back and look retroactively at a balance, or you can look at future balances. You can forecast what your balances are going to look like in the future. And that is going to take into consideration your accruals. And if you have future absences that are pending and approved, it will deduct that from the balance accordingly. All right, next slide. So here's some key highlights for absence management. Workday has many benefits when it comes to absence management. So some of the key highlights: you can easily request an absence anywhere, anytime, via your computer or via a mobile app. So that's great. Right now, we don't have the ability to use a mobile phone to request absences. So that is a really great feature. And you can also correct your request for time off even during closed pay periods. So the correction would be at the worker level or manager level. So that's another great feature. Again, from the absence calendar, you can review your absences, and what's more, you can review the retroactive or forecasted balances. So this will help you better plan, your time away from work. Maybe you want to see what your use or lose balance is at the end of the year, so you can plan accordingly. You're having an absence coming up, you want to make sure that you have the leave that you need to be off. Absences are going to route automatically to the appropriate approver in Workday. And it's also going to automatically generate notifications to the appropriate individuals, so that if an employee submits a request for time off, the manager is going to receive a notification, and the employee will receive a notification after that request is processed. So they're aware that their manager reviewed that request. So as I mentioned earlier, Workday is going to serve as the official record of all absences, And that's allowing us to streamline the absence request process. It helps consolidate communication between employees and their managers. It helps reduce potential miscommunications. And additionally, Workday is going to empower managers to more easily manage their team's absences and help drive decision-making through a consolidated team absence calendar. All right, so we're gonna jump into the demo where we are going to request paid time off for an employee. Okay. So here we are, we have the absence management demonstration. So we're in this system and we're in here as Emma, I'm sorry, Emma employee. And we're going to go and we're going to request some annual leave for her. So we're going to begin by opening the absence application. So here you'll see on her homepage, there's some apps that are there where she can, and she'll actually request absence here as the app. Within the absence application, Emma can do a number of things. She can begin to request an absence. She can view requests. And on the left column, it really allows her to begin tasks as it relates to an absence, while the right column allows her to view different information, such as current requests and balances. So we're going to go ahead and click request absence. Here you'll see that her absence calendar comes up. And it's here. Here we see the calendar for the month of January. Her balances are over here. Well, Emma is already approved for some annual time off Monday of this week. You'll see here that when we hover over that request, it says that it's approved. Down here, she submitted a future request for annual time off. You'll see that this is submitted. So that's highlighted in gray. So employees can hover over those requests to see what the status is. And again, the calendar on the right hand, the balances are over here on the left, the right hand side of her screen. We'll see she has 90.66 hours of time off from an annual perspective as of today, January 26, 2023. So Emma wants to request annual leave for tomorrow on the 27th. So what we'll do is we'll select the 27th. And we're going to say 1 day request absence. So down here on the left-hand side of the screen, we're going to go ahead and click to request that 1 day of absence. So you're going to get this window that pops up that asks her to select the absence type. What type of time off would she like to request? So down here, you're going to see there's a number of categories that she can select from. We are going to select paid time offs as a category. Now she's going to see a list of time offs that she will be eligible to request here. So you'll see there's a number of time offs. We're going to request annual time off. And then we're going to click next. So now Emma is going to finish out the details of this request. So she needs to edit the quantity of hours per day that she wants to take for annual time off on the 27th. So we're going to edit the quantity per day. And you can edit the quantity at the top, which is really great if you've selected more than 1 day of time off. You can edit the quantity for everything by entering that up there, or you can edit the quantity in the actual date where the request is. So if we enter 8 up there, we're going to click done. So now here we have some additional information that we need to complete before she can submit the request. It's going to ask her to provide a reason for the request. So there are a number of reasons here. We're going to request vacation for the reason for her request. Here you see a comment box. It's not required for this time off request, but it does allow an employee to provide some additional information to their manager should they choose to do so. Maybe if she was requesting a partial day, she could, confirm whether she's reporting to work late, or perhaps she's taking some time off in the middle of the day, or she's leaving early. So you can provide some additional information as it relates to the request if you choose to do so. So we're going to go ahead and submit her request. There's a little bar up here that tells her that her request was submitted successfully. Down here on the absence calendar, you'll see that the absence was recorded and it confirms that it was submitted. So that is going to end the demo for requesting an absence. Okay. So how is absence management going to empower managers to better manage their team's absences? So here you're going to see a screenshot of a request that was submitted to the manager. It's Emma's request. So on your homepage, there will be a section entitled My Tasks. It'll allow you to select that task. It will then bring you into the time off request, and it provides the detailed information about the request. You'll see there is the first day off work, the last day off work, the total hours that she's requested, and you can actually view the dates, the hours, the reason, and if you want, you can view her balances. And from here, you'll be able to either approve the request, you can send the request back to the employee if you need some additional information or it needs to be edited. You can deny the request, or you can cancel the request if you don't want to process the request at all. All right, next slide. And as a manager, you have access to what's called your team's absence calendar. And what you'll see here is this outlines all of the absence requests submitted by all of the members of your team in one consolidated view, which in turn, again, allows you to make an informed decision as it pertains to the approval or denial of requests. So if you need to have some sort of, if you need folks to be in on a particular day, you might want to look at whether or not someone else has requested time off for that day. Again, highlighting here, you can also see if someone submitted a request and maybe you haven't, reviewed or approved it. You can see the gray request that have been submitted, and then the green requests that you've processed that have been approved. All right, so that is going to end the section about absence. Now we're going to move into time tracking. So as Gay mentioned earlier, we're really excited about this change. Part of the idea behind Workday is to help us streamline our processes and procedures. So one of the things that we did is we went to the Board of Regents to get an amendment to the faculty policy on sick and safe leave. That was approved, and now it'll allow the university to transition from a positive time exception based method keeping to an exception timekeeping method. So what this means is that our exempt faculty and staff will no longer have to submit a timesheet in Workday. They won't have a timesheet at all in Workday. and they will submit their request for time off or leave via the absence calendar. So it'll be approved through that process as well. There's no more timesheets. Important to note that employees such as our hourly employees, students, contingent 1, our non-exempt staff, whether they're regular or contingent 2, will continue to use a timesheet. They'll report time work, whether it's through manual time entry, perhaps they are swiping and that time worked will come over into Workday, or if they're entering or clocking in and clocking out via a web clock. So it's important to note. So what is time tracking? Time tracking is allowing, employees to record the time that they've worked for each of the positions that they hold. So the great thing, another great thing is employees who hold multiple positions will have one timesheet. And when they go in to enter time, they will select the position for which they're entering time for that particular day. So they can differentiate between the two. So what's the same? Again, kind of talked about employees who are currently swiping at time clocks, employees who are manually entering time on a timesheet, our hourly or non-exempt folks, or those that are using the web clock check in, check out, will continue to record their time in Workday when we transition. Furthermore, time types of special pay, that is all going to remain the same. So maybe we're talking about callback, on call, they're getting a premium because they work on a holiday or they get hazard pay. Those will continue to enter those on the timesheet as well. So really what Workday is doing, it's changing how we're recording time, but it's not impacting the rate at which you're paid or how the time is placed, the time block is placed on the timesheet. So what's new? As we just reviewed, one of the great improvements is we're moving to an exception-based timekeeping method for our exempt faculty and staff. So they'll no longer have to complete a timesheet. It's a savings of time for these particular employees. However, because of this change, we still want to ensure that these exempt faculty and staff are utilizing the absence calendar to submit requests for time off or leave, and then they're approved via the absence calendar. Employees will have one timesheet, even if they have multiple jobs. So they'll be able to select the job in which they're entering time on the timesheet. And all managers are going to be able to view that timesheet for all of the positions. They'll no longer have just the view of the timesheet for that particular position. So I think that's a great improvement. And the other great improvement is managers and employees both that are manually entering time can edit and correct the time that they have placed on the timesheet, even in prior pay periods. And others can edit, the managers or a timekeeper can edit the time on behalf of employees as well. So that is a great improvement. There is no limit to the number of edits or corrections made in prior pay periods. So we'll no longer need a separate group of folks to make adjustments to timesheets and closed pay periods. So again, on the time tracking side, what we're really referring to is that group of folks that are currently reporting their work time, whether it's through their manual time entry, they're swiping at the time clock, or they're clocking in and out with their web clock. So those are the groups that are really impacted here in time tracking. So I referred to a couple of ways that folks are going to be able to record time. So there's 3 specific ways for our hourly folks, students, contingent 1 employees, and our non-exempt staff, include our contingent 2s. So how everybody's recording time today will remain the same when we go into Workday. You'll continue to report time work through the time clocks, web check-in, or manual time entry. So you'll see here at the top, there is a summary and overview of the ways that we record time. Again, not changing. The one thing that is changing is managers and or timekeepers can assist employees who are using a time clock or web clock check-in to make corrections. So today, these folks can't make corrections. So we'll continue to have the managers or timekeepers correct a time entry. Those that are manually entering time can go in themselves. They can correct time entry for a current pay period or a prior pay period where things have been approved. Any corrections that are made are being routed to the manager for reapproval. But now we don't need to worry about taking additional steps for those approved timesheets in prior pay periods. So some key highlights here in time tracking. So there's a number of benefits as we start using Workday for time tracking. We talked about you'll have one timesheet even if you work multiple positions. Managers will be able to see that timesheet and any time that was recorded for all of the different positions. Those absences that are submitted and approved by way of the absence calendar will be automatically applied to the timesheet. So there's no need to submit the request through an absence calendar and then take an additional step to record that on the timesheet. That will be automatically applied. When Workday goes live, our exempt staff will no longer have to record, their completed timesheet. We've talked about that. And finally, managers, they will be able to more easily make corrections to timesheets for employees, add special pay time, such as shift differential or other premiums. And then the automated approval flows in Workday. It allows an increase in efficiency and lets them spend more time on other job tasks and less time on timesheets. All right, so here we're going to see a snapshot of the timesheet. So the timesheet within Workday, it shows a consolidated view of all your time and if applicable, time off or leave for that particular week. If you hold multiple positions, you will be able to differentiate between a time block worked for one position versus another. If you're swiping on the time clock or you're using the web clock check-in, check-out, those swipes and that information will be updated and automatically applied to the timesheet at the end of each day. All right, so we talked earlier about absence management and how to request an absence. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to start a demo to enter time, show you how employee is going to enter time. All right, so we're back in as Emma. We're back to her home page where she is going to, similar to what we did when she requested the time off, we're going to look at her apps and we are going to select time as the app for her. So you'll see again, there are a number of things that are here on this page for her to be able to do in terms of entering time or viewing time. So she's able to enter time, you'll see over here for a particular week, or she can select a week if it's not the current week or last week. And over here, she can view her schedule, view her time off, and view her time off balances. So we are going to select this week. She wants to enter time for this particular week. So here we see her timesheet for this week of January 2nd through the 28th. if Emma wants to enter her time, we'll enter time for her for today. We'll simply go in and we will click on the timesheet so we can enter time for her. Here you'll see at the top, it says time typed, and this is work time. So this is where she is going to enter the time that she started, her in time and her out time. So for today, we're going to have her in at 8 a.m. and we'll have her out at 12 p.m. There is the ability to select an out reason here. An employee can select out, their shift is ending, or if they are going on a meal break, if they're going on a lunch break, they can select meal so that when you look at the time block, you'll be able to see that the time block is there, and then they're going out on a meal break, which would infer that that is going to be unpaid. But for today, we're going to go ahead and just have work time. She's going to be out. The end of her shift is going to be at 12. Again, there is a section for comments here should she want to provide any additional information to the manager about the time block. So we click OK. We're going to see that the time block now has been recorded here on the timesheet. We're going to see here that it's just 4 hours, that it's not submitted, so that it is highlighted in gray. All right, so after we've submitted the time at the end of the pay period, employees are going to want to submit their time for review to their manager. On the bottom, you'll see the ability to review the time that you have recorded on the timesheet. And here it'll actually give you the total total number of hours that have been recorded for the pay period of January 15th through the 28th. You've got regular hours. If they worked overtime, you'll see hours there, premium hours on call, paid time off. So you'll see a summary of that. So I'm going to review that and I'm going to say, okay, yes, that is correct. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to submit my timesheet. So here again, there's a message at the top. You've submitted your timesheet, and Martha, her manager, is now going to receive a to-do task to review the timesheet. All right, so that concludes the demo for entering time. So how does time tracking in Workday help me as a manager? So here you'll see a screenshot of my team's time, and this will allow you to review the time that your employees have either entered and not submitted, if they've submitted the time, and you'll see all of your employees listed down here. It's an easy way for you to look at timesheets that have either been submitted or not submitted by your team, and what action you need to take in terms of reviewing and approving at the end of a pay period. So again, if employees are swiping at a time clock, or they're doing web clock, check in, check out, they won't need to submit that timesheet at the end of the pay period. That will be automatically submitted on their behalf.
Great, thank you, Chris.
Was there one more slide? I'm sorry, we back entering time on behalf of a worker. Okay. So the other great feature that I referenced earlier is that if an employee either is unable to enter time, or maybe if they swiped in and they forgot to swipe out, and managers or timekeepers can go in and enter time on behalf of their worker. So they would simply go in and access that employee's timesheet, enter the time block just like we did as the employee, and then that can be approved. So that is a great feature for folks to be able to enter time on behalf of a worker.
Great, thank you, Christine. I see that we're almost at time, so next slide. I'm not going to go through all this. The big thing that I want to call out on this slide is the news and events. I encourage you to bookmark it. It's where all these functional overviews get posted. It's also where, if there are upcoming events like our town hall in February and this next functional overview in March, that is a key spot of our website to stay current. Also, the newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already. It comes out every month, usually the last Tuesday of the month, and that is also a great way to stay connected to the Elevate program and be current. I know Karen has a bunch of questions. I've been watching them scroll through. We're not going to get to all of them, but if you guys will bear with us, we would like to get to some, and we may run a little bit more than the 45 minutes. So thank you for all your participation. Great questions.
Yes. And in the interest of time, I'm going to launch this poll. It's just about your experience today with this webinar and this functional overview. And as I launch it, I'll leave it up for a little bit, but I am still going to just jump into the Q&A portion. This is the most questions I've ever seen come in for a functional overview, which is really exciting. Our team has been in the background we've been doing our best to answer as many of the questions as we've gotten in the Q&A feature. And we've pulled some out to kind of ask Christine directly. But also I just want everyone to know, I mean, even right now, there are 99 questions in our chat function. And we are going to be hard at work over the next probably couple of weeks getting back to all these questions, because we do have everyone's email information. So when you registered for today. So, and then some of these questions too, I'm sure Christine has answered in the presentation as well. And this will all be recorded, and it's being recorded, and we will share the information. But the first question I have for you, Christine, is someone asked, will Workday stop employees from entering overlapping time?
Yes, Workday will not allow employees to record overlapping time on their timesheet.
Okay, great. So another question we got is, how will timesheet adjustments be processed after a pay period closes?
We talked about this a little bit in the presentation. So employees are able to correct approved time off after a pay period has closed. They make the correction and it will be submitted to their manager again for review and approval. These corrections will be accounted for on their next paycheck if there are any pay implications related to those adjustments. And as I mentioned before, timekeepers and managers are able to correct timesheets on an employee's behalf as well.
Awesome. Someone else asked, will Workday send a reminder to employees and managers if timesheets haven't been submitted or approved by the end of the pay period? I'm also curious to know that.
Workday will send a reminder to the employee that has unsubmitted time shortly prior to the end of the pay period to remind them to submit that time. Now, managers, can use the tools that they have in Workday. They have a time and absence hub, so they can review the status of timesheets for all of their employees. We saw that screen where they have all their direct reports with timesheets, who has unsubmitted time has been submitted but not approved versus approved. So they'll be able to quickly identify any of their time entry employees who need to take some sort of action prior to the end of the pay period.
Great. So this is also another reminder kind of question. Will Workday send me a reminder if I have outstanding time off requests that need to be processed? Maybe like this is someone who might be a manager who might have time off requests that are just sitting and waiting.
Right. So Workday is not going to automatically generate a reminder. However, you can filter your tasks that are awaiting action on your homepage for those tasks that you need to complete to identify tasks that are overdue. And again, you can also view your team absence calendar. We looked at that earlier, and to identify requests that have been submitted and not yet approved. So there are different alternatives or ways for a manager to identify any requests that have been submitted but not yet processed.
Great. just a call out, it's 11:45. If anyone needs to drop, you're more than welcome to. We're gonna stay on maybe an extra few minutes just so I can get through these questions that I pulled. But this will be recorded, so if you need to look at these later, you can. The next question I have for you is, can someone else approve an employee's timesheet if the manager is unable to do so?
And the answer to that is yes. Timekeepers can approve timesheets on the behalf of a manager if they're unable to do so. In addition, if that manager is out for an extended period of time, there is a way for them to delegate that task of approving time to someone else during their absence.
Great. Will holiday and administrative leave be automatically populated or recorded like it is today?
Yes, so administrative leave that's granted in full day increments, excuse me, and holiday leave will be mass uploaded to the absence calendar, and that's going to be automatically approved. Now, if there's a circumstance in which maybe a manager needs to correct that, maybe they're an essential employee and they were required to come in on a day when we were closed for inclement weather, they will be able to go in. They will be able to edit that administrative leave or holiday if in fact there needs to be a correction.
Yeah, this is kind of related to that. Is, can I correct my approved annual time if I return to work early?
Absolutely. Employees and or managers can go into an approved request and correct that. They can edit the number of hours that were taken for that particular day, whether it's you returned earlier than anticipated, if you were going out for a partial day, or perhaps you just decided not to take the day at all. You can go in and make that correction, even though it's been approved.
I think this will be our last one that we answer live. I know there are 99 questions or over 99 open questions in the Q&A, but our team has also answered 133 questions. So we will be following up with everyone else that we weren't able to get to today. We do have a large team in the background, and they have been working very hard. So thank you to my panelists. But the final question that I have for you, Christine, is what happens if an employee can't submit their absence request? I can imagine a number of ways that this might happen.
So Workday is going to allow several individuals to submit requests for time off or leave on the behalf of an employee. So we have a number of roles. So the manager can submit a request for time off on the behalf of an employee. We have what we call absence partners as a role. So today, these folks, these absence partners, are the individuals at the department level that liaise with the leave management team today when folks in their department are taking a leave. And then the central absence partner, which is our leave management team here at UMD, they can also submit requests for time off or a leave of absence on behalf of a worker. So that's a great way for us to ensure, then, because we want to make sure that all time off and absences are submitted through the app calendar. So we have a number of folks that can do that on the behalf of an employee if they're unable to do so.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. I certainly learned a lot today. I hope everyone else did too. Christine is certainly a wealth of knowledge about time and absence, and we had so much interest in this session that we had to get a larger webinar license. That's a fun fact, because we had over 1,000 participants today. So I'm so glad everyone was able to join us. We will be sending out a reminder, or not a reminder, we'll send out a follow-up next week with this recording. And then also we have records of everyone that asked questions and whether or not they were addressed. So we'll be following up with folks individually as well. But thank you all so much for joining us, and you have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you.